All right. So what I'm going to go into is not only supplementation, but I'm going to talk a little bit performance optimization. Uh, some of this information will be a little bit science driven. I'll keep it uh, probably a little bit more generic when I go through it. So some of the stuff you understand, some of it will be like, I've heard of that before. No worries. I'm not going to go too much into the ATP and stuff like that, but I just wanted to give you a general understanding of the operational systems. So before we really dive into kind of the supplementation, we want to think about the biological foundational components. So the human body runs off energy systems, ATP. Again, I'm not going to go into uh, a ton of depth on this. This is really surface driven to kind of give you an overview. Um, Enzymatic reactions, hormonal signaling, nutrient availability. So that's just like a general overview of some of the systems that can be impacted with like supplementation and or lack of nutrients. So key concepts, every function your body requires some type of vitamin or a cofactor, minerals, electrolytes, structural roles that it plays within the operation, amino acids, so that's a protein structure, fatty acids, which is cell membranes and hormones. So if you have some type of deficiency in these in some format, performance drops, recovery slows, health can decline, right? And these, again, this is a lot deeper than most will talk about. I just want to kind of give you like a big picture overview, and then we'll simplify as we get into more of the general concepts. And then okay, what are supplements? They're concentrated forms of nutrients or compounds that will influence the physiological process. So they impact the whole system in some format, and and it can get really specific or it can be a little bit more general. They do not create anything new, right? They help with how the system's operating, the efficiency, and so forth. So they support existing pathways. That's what really supplements were designed for. Increase in efficiency of the process. Whatever's happening, can we make it better? Can we make it function better? And if there's deficiencies within the system, can we impact those deficiencies, make them better, so that way your system's operating better or more efficient? And these are just general examples, but these are examples that have science base. So I get a lot of questions about creatine. Well, it supports ATP regeneration. ATP is the main energy component for you to do most of your activity. So again, adenosine triphosphate is a main chemical response for energy. So I'm just giving you again a surface level. So protein provides amino acids for tissue repair. And then, we get a lot of questions, obviously, with magnesium. It does a multitude of things, supports uh, enzyme reactions, and it does other things as well. So again, we may get more questions about supporting digestion and calming down the system, but magnesium does more a multitude of things within the system. So here's just some of the things that in a misconception of what supplements are not. This is where most people are we get tricked, right? So or marketing. So supplements do not create fat loss. Do not replace calories or protein. Do not override poor sleep or stress. Do not fix inconsistent habits. Again, sometimes we get marketed heavily on what a supplement may or may not do in some format, and that's the unfortunate part. So what do they really they amplify what you already are doing, good or bad, right? So if you have some of these components that are not necessarily healthy, it's not necessarily going to help the process move in the right direction. And I'll talk about that. So here's really the foundational components you guys want to think about. And unfortunately, but fortunately, you want to have the foundation as you want to work on that foundational component first because the foundation is key, and that's going to be what's your sleep, nutrition, training, hydration, the basics that we always are going to address in our program, and anytime we start addressing health and wellness with clients. And then we'll go, okay, let's look at the next level. What does the protein intake look like? What is your calorie control, meal timing, right? So then we start working down those different pillars. And then, okay, let's look at level three. What's some foundational supplements that are not blood driven? What I'm saying there is more specific for deficiencies and ones that we can utilize that have validity and typically won't have any negative impact. Well, those would be like protein powders, creatine, essential fatty acids, so omega 3s, and then electrolytes. I could probably add a couple more because I will talk about a little bit more supplements that are driven for men and women specifically here later in the presentation. And then if we would really go one more level, which some of you've been through that process and with your doctor's results or with communication with Aaron, is based upon what markers your blood work shows. That would be more of level four, like, hey, we're starting to get into more targeted optimization. Most people, we see this, want to skip one and two, or sometimes two. They'll go to two first and start utilizing more of, or I should say three, excuse me. They'll jump in to say, hey, should I be taking supplements, but not address the foundational components? Hey, what's your sleep? What does your nutrition quality look like? What's your training? What's your hydration? And a lot of times, what we're sold sometimes with marketing and supplementation is, hey, we take this supplement, it's gonna fix the foundational components, which is untrue. What it can do is if you have a good foundational component and you add a supplement within that, it can help optimize. It helps that system run more efficiently. So we really got to think about it about supplementation like that. How's it going to impact or help the efficiency of our current system? But again, we want to make sure we're addressing the foundational components as best we can before we start adding in specific supplementation or adding a supplementation that we may or may not know is helping us move from point A to point B. So when we think about metabolism and the energy system, energy is produced through your mitochondria using nutrients like glucose, fats, and amino acids. Again, I'm giving you kind of a general overview. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, and that's one of the main energy components or utilized as an energy or fuel source. So this is your body's energy currency. This is how we operate. And to produce ATP, the energy source, effectively, you need some of these, obviously, nutrients, right? Magnesium, vitamin V, vitamin V's, excuse me, B vitamins, iron, oxygen. So you need all those in a combination. If these are low or we have deficiencies in some area, what can happen is we may have, some type of fatigue increase, performance drop, recovery, how you feel can be impacted. So again, if we do have deficiencies, yes, the system may not be functioning as it could. And then I'm going to move into some of the general proteins that most of you guys are using and just kind of reinforce the thought process behind them and why. So, protein supplementation, what does it do? It's going to provide amino acids. It stimulates muscle protein synthesis, which is very important, supports recovery and metabolism, does all those components. So key mechanism, lectin activates the mTOR pathways, triggers muscle growth, and that's important, right? Is when you're doing resistance training, we want to make sure we are getting, X amount of protein in because it's going to reinforce the recovery components of lean tissue optimization, Also, what we don't talk, enough about is the stressors of day-to-day life, because a lot of times we negate that component when we're thinking about protein, but the stressors of day-to-day life, your activity is also putting a stress on the body, the mechanical system. So again, having enough protein is important to have recovery within that system itself. And then also, if we're in some type of caloric restriction, making sure that we have these nutrients available so that our metabolism or our lean tissue is not utilized as a fuel source. So again, you guys know these. You've heard me talk about important. Your daily intake matters. It's more than the timing. So as long as we're hitting those numbers, we're good. Because a timing component can it fine tune some stuff? Yeah, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're hitting the numbers, and how the timing of you getting it in is less obviously invasive on how the body responds. And then the 30 to 50 gram marker point, that's a mill maximizer for MPS, which is muscle protein synthesis. Again, these are some numbers. You guys have ranges we give you. And then obviously protein powder is a convenient tool. We use it as a tool. It's not a necessity all the time, because you can get it from our natural sources, the natural sources of protein. But again, I use the convenience factor of using a protein powder, and I've used it for years and years and years just because of the convenience aspect of it. Because sometimes if I'm under my marker point, I use it obviously as a tool to push my grams up, or otherwise I wouldn't hit my marks. And then again, the second one we get a lot of questions about is creatine. Creatine. So, and this has been studied a lot, and it is actually a safe supplementation that does more than one component, which I'll touch on. It's going to help increase the stores of ATP. So the with the ability to have the component to produce ATP, which helps with muscle contraction, energy, all those fun things. Again, I'm giving you a generic version of the Krebs cycle. So supporting rapid ATP regeneration is important, because what it can do for you is you can have some increased strength capacities, okay? Increased power output because you have more ATP available during your workouts. Improved recovery as well. So these are just some of the components that creatine help with as far as the energy systems. Now, here in these last, I don't know, 10 years, they've done a lot more research on the other side of creatine, which is brain energy metabolism. It's the only supplement that crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is, it's kind of a big deal. So they've seen research with cognitive performance improvements with having utilized creatine. Okay, so it's one of those things that I can safely say, hey, yeah, you can have this in your routine and you're good and safe. It's not going to mess anything up, you know. And most people past 30 probably should have it. And I get questions about young athletes with this. There's not a problem with it. Just making sure that they monitor it, because sometimes what happens with young kids is they think more is better, and that's not the truth. It's not going to impact. It's actually going to be wasting money. So I used creatine when I was 17. I started using creatine, and I've been using it off and on ever since. And it's more for performance based. Now it's more for longevity and health based. So here's another one you hear a lot about, and this is the fatty acids. So the fish oils, the omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA and the DHA. And the other day I was listening to Dr. Hyman, I think, on the podcast, and they're rolling out some other omega chain that they're promoting. I just have to do a little bit more research and understanding of what the impact is of this new omega that they were promoting. So I really can't touch I don't know enough information on that. But as I do, I can always share that over to you guys. But the foundational component that you can supplement is your omega-3 fatty acids. So it's going to help with reducing overall inflammatory response, which is a plus, and improve cell membrane fluidity. It supports your cardiovascular health and brain function as well. So there's a multitude of things that your omega-3s help with. Main issue that we've seen over the years, and this has been more because of the manipulation of what they put in our food. Uh, so if you're consuming higher processed foods, what they do is that they will put in omega-6s in those processed foods, and that is actually uh, helps produce more inflammation, which is not a good thing. The other issue that we see with this is if a person is consuming a lot of processed foods that are high in omega-6s, it will block your ability to absorb omega-3s. Okay, so what we like to see happen with individuals, if they can pull back their processed foods that have omega-6s, push up their omega-3s, that's going to help with that inflammatory response and flip that. Because what they've found is really if you're consuming too many of the omega-6s, so a lot of processed foods that have that in it, it's just the omega-3s are less effective. Okay, it's just that's just general note. So what we see is poor recovery, increased inflammatory response with that. And then we've getting a lot more questions about electrolytes. So they do a lot. There's a lot that they can help with. Nerve signaling, muscle contraction, fluid balance. So you may have heard some of those. And the key minerals in electrolytes are going to be the sodium, potassium, magnesium. Those all do things within the system or help the system function because they will help with chemical processes within inside the system. Those minerals will. So, and then if you have some deficiencies in this, fatigue, muscle cramps, reduced performance. So I know you guys have asked, a lot. There's a lot of different, obviously, electrolytes. I think one of the biggest things with electrolytes is just making sure that the calorie count doesn't push too heavy uh, in whatever electrolyte you choose. Because the good old Gatorade that I grew up on, they tricked you. It was just basically like drinking sugar. I used to drink that stuff all the time. Um, and obviously they started coming out with different levels of less sugar in that. But I don't drink Gatorade anymore. So when we go into some of the micronutrients, some of the important components of micronutrients itself, and this is where you would probably get into a little bit more specifics, but some of these are some foundational components that you may or you may or may not need because if what I'm saying is you may not have a deficiency in some of these, but most people are going to have a deficiency in vitamin D. You want to have that vitamin D and K combination. If you do, which we all should probably be on vitamin, unless some of you guys are in sunshine quite often. Here in the Midwest, we go through the cloudy days, so we don't we typically supplement a little bit heavier in the fall, winter, spring months. Then obviously we can back off because Aaron and I went through this with our blood work, and it was quite interesting because once you get your levels up to a certain point, you can monitor it and pull back the amount or the dosage of your vitamin D. So vitamin D does quite a bit. Obviously, the hormone like function, immune system, and then testosterone support. So all those are important for all of us. And then if we look at some other micronutrients, iron, oxygen transport, this hemoglobin, low levels may see fatigue, poor endurance within, if you have some iron. And we've seen this go on across the board. Obviously, I'll talk a little bit more specifics, male, female here in a second. And then the magnesium, it helps with enzyme activity, okay, the reactions, recovery, sleep, stress. I just talked about magnesium earlier and gave you some other things that it helps with in its pathways. B vitamins, energy metabolism, nervous system support. And then if we're going to go a little bit more women. I didn't go real deep on either side, but I did just touch on this. What we see with obviously women is iron deficiency, more often. So bone density, calcium, vitamin D. And then it can, hormone fluctuation impacts energy recovery. You guys, obviously, some people have been through this and felt some of these responses. And then when we look at, obviously, working with you guys, we address this, but is often underconsumed muscle loss risk, but we address that in our program. So these are just, some specifics that women will encounter and may be at higher risk in certain areas. And then if we jump over to the men's side, vitamin D, again, it works with men and women, obviously with the testosterone support because it's important on both sides. And then zinc hormone production as well. And I think Aaron and I are both on a zinc supplement, based upon some blood work that we had. So, and then again, magnesium, sleep recovery, creatine, performance muscle, cognitive support. Creatine goes on both sides. It's not a male or female thing. So I probably should have put that in there. Here's kind of the things that we see as educators in this industry. You see too many trends or things that are really, I would say, they just don't have enough validity to show utilizing certain supplements, and it's been that way for a long time. It's just with how they are unregulated. I really should say there's just no format of unless they're independently tested, which some of them are. They go through that process. Anything we get from Full Scripts, they do that. They vet all those companies out, so they won't let. Full Scripts is based on a medical practitioner base, so that platform only medical. So we have access to that based upon our degrees in education. So it's not open to like the general population. But what they do is they vet out all their supplement companies to make sure that they're quality driven because it's again it's a standard they go by, and that's not all of them are like that. So what we do is we see these trends come through. We may take or stack unnecessary supplementation, not knowing the impact or outcome, dosage, and interactions. The hard part, and I've been down this rabbit hole myself, with a supplement company. When they start getting into proprietary blends, it can get a little confusing there. And the reason being is that company's not giving you the specific breakdown of the supplement or what's in the supplement. And if we don't know that, we don't know dosage and what you're actually getting. So that it just becomes hard to understand exactly what you're taking when companies say proprietary blends. Unfortunately, the ones that are more transparent tell you exactly what's in it, what dosage based upon minerals is going to be a little bit probably more transparent. So again, I've wasted a lot of money in supplements. I've taken about over the years when I was younger. Obviously, I had to learn the process, try to educate myself. So I'm sure that there's been thousands of dollars wasted in supplementation. Uh, what we want to try to help you guys with is educate you as much as possible, make the best decision for yourself. And then if we have a validity to back it up, that's always going to be key. So if you don't have the measurable components, it's kind of a guessing game. And like I said, I went through some supplements that I think everybody probably should utilize in some format. Um, I get questions, and I'm jumping off topic a little bit. I get questions about the greens. I don't think there's any negative component to that. Uh, that's really getting some of the micronutrients that you may, if your diet's not heavy in veggies and leafy green components. I probably should utilize it. I've utilized it in the past, but it's just one of those things where it's hard enough to stay on my regime right now. By adding something else, it would be hit or miss, and if I'm not consistent with it, it's not going to be beneficial. So just because more supplements don't always equal better results, because again, I talked about the foundational components. We got to address the foundation first, and then if we jump over into the blood work, again, our technology is moving at a rapid pace now because energy or information is being released and shared at a higher level, specifically with AI. So they are rolling out, and your doctors, what you'll notice here in these next 2 to 3 years, all your doctors will be using AI in your visits, which is not a bad thing because they're they're building a platform right now that will allow data points to be pulled together that will help your doctor have a better educated decision based upon your specific testing, your specific makeup. So that's going to help accelerate the process. So when we talk about this, and we're able to go into a little bit deeper markers for you guys, so blood work, it will identify any deficiencies, hormone levels, metabolic health, and then based upon your results, using technology and data points, you'll be able to prescribe better better routines with supplementation, which is key. And again, that's what Aaron and I just went through ourselves. I know Aaron's been helps facilitating that with some of you guys as well. The cool part is with we're just playing around with another app. Well, it's we already have the app. It's just it we have it on our side, and we're getting ready to test it with a couple of clients. Is FullScripts has an app with all the blood work platform that we can communicate with you guys through. And once you do all the testing, it will give you all the reporting down on the app and give you all access to the PDFs and stuff like that. We typically have that on our side. They're getting ready to roll out a new. They have already. We just need to test a little bit, and it's just going to give us more data points and more specific markers for you guys in your blood work and deficiencies and things of that nature, which is kind of cool, from our standpoint. So the key biomarkers, some of the keys, obviously you can go deeper than this. When we see vitamin D and it's low, poor immune, low testosterone. Again, I had this myself. Uh, if you talk about ferritin, it could be something to do with their iron stores as well, right? So low, if it's low, fatigue, poor endurance. Again, these marker points can be identified with blood work. Your B12, low energy, brain fog. Then we jump over, obviously, the marker points of thyroid. And again, many times we don't test deep enough in the thyroid. We don't look at all the key components that's going on. And that's all to do with controlled metabolic rate. I will tell you, stress is detrimental to your thyroid. So that's a big component that we try to address with you guys as well. And then when we look at testosterone and estrogen, for you guys, if it's off in any format, it can impact muscle, fat loss, energy, any of those components. When you think about deficiency to optimization and or functioning better, deficiency obviously system's impaired, right? It's just not functioning as it could be. Correction, obviously we want to fine tune it. System returns to normal. You feel better, energy's better, you're recovering better. All those marker points within your blood panel gets better. So then that's feedback. And then when you go to a little bit higher optimization, that's when you're like, okay, hey, what deficiencies do I have in my blood panels? I address them, I come back, retest them. The system's going to perform at a higher level. And the supplement should move through these stages, not guess randomly. So really, you want to work on your foundational components like I talked about. Maybe add some key supplements that are blanket supplements, and then from there you can start getting a little bit deeper into blood work. What is not, functioning properly? What can we fine tune, retest, optimize? Because without blood work, typically, if we say, hey, you need XYZ, we're kind of guessing, right? I mean, the cool part with our technology now, where it's going, we're able to get a little bit more specific with you guys, which can impact the system and make the system function more efficiently for you. So with blood work, we're going to be targeting the specific components that are showing us that there's deficiencies within the system. So fast results, better outcome, less waste. And the cool part is you can come back and retest. So the smart approach, and I'm going to open this up because if you guys have, obviously you will may have questions about different supplementations, but here's a smart approach for this. You want to build your foundation first. What I talked about. What is, your stress, sleep, your nutrition, your calories. What does that look like? Your workouts, obviously. That's the foundational components that we truly want to get you guys working on. And then, okay, core supplements. What are some of those? Your vitamin D, right? Your magnesium, your creatine, your protein. Those are just some general. Can you go one or two? Yeah, omega 3 fatty acids. You could probably go one or two more levels in that. But then if you start going deeper than that, you probably really want some data points to understand why are you taking that specific combination of things. Run blood work. Okay, what's showing as a deficiency for you? Okay, what can we start to optimize, make that system run better because it's running at a deficiency. So we target that with obviously recommendations and specific combinations of supplementation to make sure that system starts getting the nutrients and combinations that it needs to function better, retest and adjust. So, with what Aaron and I did this last year and a half, every 3 months, we would do a huge blood panel to go ahead and make sure that the protocols we were doing was allowing our system to normalize and function at a higher level. And sometimes what would happen is, you would have to make adjustments based upon what the blood markers gave us. Some systems got better. We would have to adjust up and down based upon the supplementation. Or, for me, I've been on certain supplements I've been on over a year and a half because it kind of stabilized my system. So it's working well. There's no reason to disrupt it. So some of the common mistakes, and this is where the vitamin D you have to watch, is overdosing fat soluble vitamins. Um, because they can push into toxic levels. And uh, that's one of those things. Because when they first put us on the vitamin D, ours was really low, and when they came back and tested, it shot way up. So then they had to pull back our dosage because obviously it's fat soluble. Um, Ignoring absorption, and this is where you may have to you don't know what you don't know, and some people, their methylation pathways are different from a genetic standpoint. They methylate certain compounds better than others, or they don't. Again, that there's a higher level test you'd have to go through to do the methylation pathways. That's that's a whole nother topic, but that's a true component because Erin, when she went through this process, found out she doesn't methylate some of her vitamin B's, and she had to make adjustments. Excuse me. She had to make adjustments based upon her protocol to pull some of those vitamin B's out because her she was not methylating those properly. So it's clogging up the system. It was not necessarily good for her. And then sometimes if we're taking conflicting compounds or if we don't know the exact compound we're taking, or if it's a blended supplement, it may have, XYZ magnesium and you're taking magnesium on top of it. So you're like over consuming, or just maybe even wasting obviously resources in certain formats. And then if we never come back and retest and see obviously the validity, again, that's a higher level component. Again, um, with the technology we have nowadays, we can go a little bit deeper if you'd like. But obviously there's a financial component to that because blood work's not, I mean, it's not all covered by insurance. Unfortunately, they should be. But so takeaways from supplements. Supplements support biology. They don't replace it, right? So they help support the system. We build the foundation, use supplements strategically, let data guide us if need be. Um, because many times, and again, this is a marketing component, we think the supplement's going to fix the problem. We got to have the foundational components. And then we use the supplement to supplement and help the system run more efficiently, better, with recovery, with all the components it can. So that's really how you want to kind of look at supplementation or supplements in general. They're there to supplement the process, help the process. And then, we just have to fine tune, build the foundation first, fine tune, the general overlay of supplements. And then if you choose to go a little bit deeper, then that's when I say, okay, hey, you go to blood work. That's where they can identify nutrient deficiencies and address those nutrient deficiencies with specific supplementation and really fine tune the system and make it even better. So, with that said, I'm going to open it up and see if you guys have any specific questions. Because last time I did this, I didn't go as science driven. I went just like some general supplementation that like most of you guys hear about. So I figured I'd go this way, but I could always come back and revisit that other presentation I did about 9 months ago. So if you guys any questions,
I don't know. It's hard when I can't see if other people are like raising their hand and want to talk. So I always just want to
that's all
talk.
good.
So I think one of the things that's super frustrating in like normal medicine is like the lack of, I don't know, the lack of care and wanting information, right? Like going to my doctor for a physical and we order the same labs, right? We order maybe our AC1 or whatever for like sugar levels, our
Yeah.
insulin, our cholesterol, and our iron. But like your ferritin's not something your doctor actually usually checks to check. So like I felt like gut problems. Like I just would always have like a stomach ache after dinner at night. And I ended up doing some tests with a functional medicine doctor, and like it turns out like I had like your gut can have like an infection, like you can get it from eating certain things, like you can get a virus from eating tomatoes in your gut, you know what I mean? So I had to like stop eating tomatoes and like broccoli, those kind of things, and cabbage for a while, and like doing other things. And then she suggested I get my ferritin level checked. Well, it came back low, which a lot of people don't understand. Your ferritin levels can greatly decrease by having multiple pregnancies and all these different things. And I've had 3 kids, and I feel like tired and things. So then I ask my doctor, and like she like doesn't know anything about ferritin, and she tells me that my level is fine. And my
Yeah.
functional medicine person I was working with is like, yeah, that's not really a great level. And I'm like, okay. So then I've been like taking things to help build it, but like she won't recommend that you go get infusions to increase it quickly. Like we won't want to try to fix the problem faster than taking like these blood builder pills and things to like increase your ferritin level, because it takes a lot to increase it. But it's just, or like I've had higher cholesterol at times, which I feel like I'm too young to have higher cholesterol, but it sometimes is hereditary, right? But it can also be very much diet induced. But it's always like, well, you need to exercise and sleep and eat a healthy diet or a low fat diet. I love when they say a low fat diet. Like you're pushing people to eat things that are low fat. Like, have you ever looked at low fat dressing? Like, what is in low fat dressing? It's got like sunflower oils, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just things like are not good for you. But like, it's so regular medicine just really can frustrate me in the fact that I feel like they're just not as educated about things as they should be. And I'm super excited because next Monday I go to and I was talking with Aaron. I wanted to get labs done to see if like hormonal labs done, and I messaged my doctor about it. Well, it's like pulling teeth for her to want to order me to do labs, because she's like, well, if you get these results, I'm not really educated in understanding your results. And it's probably going to cost a lot of money because your insurance isn't going to pay for it. And I'm over here like, why don't we care about these things, So I have to go pick up my daughter from college next weekend, and Aaron's like, is there like a lab close to where you're going in the cities? Because I live kind of more rural. And so I'm going down to Minneapolis to go to a Quest facility to get my blood drawn. And I feel like the cost, it's so much going to be so much more cost effective than going to my doctor. You know what I mean? And getting this stuff done and like figuring out maybe some answers as to why I feel like I feel, but I feel like it's just going to your normal doctor is just like, I don't know, almost a waste of your time, because it's like they can't, well, I'll refer you to whatever this other department is. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. But like, it's just super frustrating, I guess.
Yes, unfortunately, um, yeah, there's a lot wrong with our system. I've
Ugh,
trained, sometimes we want to put doctors on pedestals. You know how many doctors I've trained over the years that don't know basic nutrition? They never work.
yeah,
It's not a requirement in their educational component. So when they
it
start
should
to,
be though.
yeah, well, yeah, no, it should be very much so, but it's not. Um, most doctors don't even take a nutrition class. So when they start giving you nutritional recommendations, I mean, it has to be self-driven in their own pursuit of that component. Yes, there's a lot wrong with that system. And unfortunately, you guys have to be advocates for yourself and your own health because right now you're not going to see a lot of change within the practitioner base unless there's demand for change. And there is a big push. And that's why you're starting to see practitioners step outside the general medical practice because there is a need for it, and they're more um, health advocates instead of disease prevention, which I don't even think it's not even disease. It's like disease management. Uh, that's the unfortunate part. The we have the technology to be much better. It's just driven by a system that's broken, and it's, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously it's based on insurance. But yeah, you have to be advocates, and we put together, and I've been working on this in the backside for you guys, is like documentation, educational components on blood work. Like, hey, here's what you should ask your doctor. I have to do this with guys as well. Because with their testosterone and stuff, the doctors will just give them a blanket test and it doesn't show truly what's going on with their system. And what they do is they misdiagnose them. So guys could have depressional-like symptoms, fatigue and stuff like that, and their testosterone's way off. Just because their general testosterone shows normal ranges, not optimal. And if they don't test specific test within the male component, you could have good levels of testosterone, but your body's not utilizing it properly. So it's an educational component that the doctors don't have the capacity, nor maybe they don't want to waste their time because they're already overloaded. So it's on both sides. I mean, but I've been putting together some other stuff, educational components for you guys. So if you do go to your doctor, you have the tools and like you can look at it and have a good educational discussion with your doctor of why you want these tests.
Yeah. Are there other people that want to talk or can I talk more?
You can just jump in.
Okay. So like, well, that's just it. Like before I started with Erin, so I'm like a month into working with her. I started April 1st. And I I started with her because I thought something was off with my hormones. And of course I go to my doctor. She doesn't have any ideas. So then I did like an Everlywell test at home where you send in your spit and your blood.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure some answers out for
Yeah.
myself, right?
Yeah.
And it was for like a cortisol and I kind of questioned if I had cortisol issues because I've had a lot of stress in dealing with my son. That was fine. But it said my testosterone level was like low. And so I was like, okay, well, there's got to be something wrong because I shouldn't feel so tired all the time and all these things. Like, but my doctor doesn't think there's a problem. You're just fine. And so that's when I came across Erin and I was like, because I messaged my doctor then. I was like, these are my test results. Like, what can we do about this? And she's like, well, gave me the same answer. You just need to
Mhm.
make sure that you're getting exercise and you're eating healthy and you're getting enough sleep. And okay, I was getting enough sleep. I was eating healthy, not as healthy as I've been eating since I've been working with Erin, but I wouldn't say I was like this bad eater by any means. I was just eating too much
Yeah.
and more than what I actually needed. And and I've exercised like every day of my life for like the last 10 years. So it wasn't like I'm not exercising. And so I just couldn't sit with that answer. I'm like, I can't hear this answer one more time. So then I got Erin came across my Instagram and I was like, this lady speaks the truth. Like she talks about all the things that a woman needs help with. It's not just how we should eat or all these things. Like she has such a wide variety of things that we need help with, like all the things. So that's why like I took that leap of faith because I was like, oh, is this going to be another one of these things that I've done before? And I thought it was going to work for me, but it didn't. And I'm still on the same road, And um, it's been great. I absolutely love it. And she's fantastic to work with because she's just so supportive in the amount of information that we're given um, is just more than I've ever received, right?
Yeah, I was
So
our goal is to help be an advocate for your really to educate you guys so you guys have the ability to have some communication patterns with your practitioners because
yeah,
if we don't do that, I mean it's going to be a never-ending battle because
yeah,
we have to educate you as much as possible in this realm because there's so much misinformation one and then again most of the time the doctors unless you go to a specific doctor who's well versed in these areas there you're just going to really they're just going to push you off, obviously,
yeah.
and not to
It's
be
like for
mean.
nothing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I went through the same process. I had a thyroid issue when I was 42, and I knew something else was going on. He wanted to put me on Synthroid, and I said no, and because I knew we were going to invest in a higher level component, and I was Hashimoto, so and I was able to pull out of Hashimoto's with supplementation and peptides and
Yeah.
get my testosterone line back out.
Without
So.
taking a prescription that's going to
Yeah.
give you all these side effects,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. My thyroid's still running low, but I'm on a supplement. And as long as I can stay off the medication, I'll stay off of it.
yeah. I'm assuming that do you suggest getting most of your protein from natural sources of protein versus protein shakes? Because like I'm able to get the 120 grams that I'm supposed to eat a day from Greek yogurt, egg whites, meat,
You're fine then.
right?
Yeah. I mean, and then you can just use it, if you need it. And if you don't need it, it's all
Yeah.
good. It's all good.
Yeah. The
Not
one thing I
everybody
probably
can,
need to,
yeah, not everybody can hit those marker points. It's a convenience factor. So,
yeah.
and it's all good.
Yeah. The one thing I probably should do, I did buy creatine from KION.
Yeah, I would have to look. There's so many, there's so
Yeah.
many companies.
And it
Creatine
was,
is a base. So creatine, just to answer you guys' question, you get creatine in any animal meat, right? It's in all animal meat. Creatine is. Now your body can store up to X amount of creatine, and that's why there's a recommendation of like dosage.
mhm.
So, and there, I, and then if they say there's a load phase, don't worry, don't load phase. Just take it and on a consistent basis. You don't have to load it. Your body will
Does it
absorb
matter
what.
when you take it? Like time of day?
Not necessarily. You just have to have a
Okay.
routine. I try to take mine in the morning I take a combination. I take creatine. I'll take a ECAA, essential amino acid, and then a glutamine. So that combination,
So I could just put it in my electrolytes. Like I never drank
100%.
electrolytes until I started working with Aaron Either.
Yeah.
And the LMNT ones or Element or however you say
Yeah.
it, they're so good. Like I actually like drinking them because I was like, do you think I can have a few of these a day? She's like, well, I don't think I'd suggest that. And I'm
Yeah,
like, but it tastes
you
so
probably
good.
would. Yeah, you probably want to try to minimize them unless you guys, obviously unless you're in a hot environment or you're sweating a
Right.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, okay, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I probably shouldn't take a few of them a day. I'll be start retaining water. Um, okay. Yeah. Well, that was a good talk. Thanks.
No, the interesting part was like gut health. Gut health is, I mean, I did a thing on gut health. I don't know, it was like 4 months ago. Um, because there's some other impacts. Your liver can have impact on your gut health as well. The cool part with that, but it does cost money. There is companies out there. We went through it. They will test and they will tell you exactly what you have going on with your gut biome, and they will give you specific probiotics based upon what you need. But again, it does cost. It's outside the medical system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I jump in on that? That was more like my question.
Yeah.
Um, and something that's, I don't know, it's kind of been bothering me over the past week because I have a friend that is, working with one of the supplement companies. And so, of course oh, hey, I gotta, reach my goals. So if you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
stop and purchase tonight,
Yeah.
whatever. But like one of like the big um like triggers for me to like pull me into that is she was like, "Oh yeah, there's a new like liver detox." And then when I looked at more of the data, I was like, that should like, or the marketing stuff that she sent over, they're marketing it as like, one of the, a GLP-1 combo, and then it's like three different drinks. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
way too much for
yeah,
my system right now to add in. And she's like, but why? And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. How is that supposed to be a liver detox when you're adding in so many different drinks of who knows what compounds?
yeah, yeah. It can be
And even if
tricky.
you work with those companies, you have to dig to try to find the data of like
So,
what
so
is
inter
even in that.
yeah, 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 yeah. So what you can do, if again, if you even if you have the free Chat GPT, okay, because what Chat GPT does better than Google, it will go pull all the data points that's ever been put out on these companies, and so what you can do is you can
Yeah,
take,
that
yeah, you can take the name of the company, throw it in Chat GPT, and ask it any question you want, and it will go. You can ask it if it's a multi-level marketing company, and if it's proprietary blends and stuff like that, and it will give you all the information you want.
hmm.
Unfortunately, but fortunately. So you
Yeah,
may
and
you may want to do that specifically. I mean I've done it multiple times. Like I because it's hard to go do the research because it's everywhere. So what chat is good at is it will pull all those data points together for you.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
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 that
then
I
it
think
typically
I'm
will give
at
you
like,
resources.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciated like this, like especially the supplement support biology, not replacing it, because I I feel like I'm at the max of, well, one, like you said, tight like things that I can add into my routine and be consistent on.
Yeah.
But then also I feel like I'm at the max for supplementing without knowing more information.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and this whole like being like nervous about my liver is based on blood markers from like 2 years ago. So
Okay.
that doesn't really help if I don't know what's going on in my system now.
Yeah, so obviously data points for you, would be getting those tests specifically with the marker points to show, hey, how is the liver, the kidneys, how's everything functioning? Because then
Yeah,
that,
because then like,
based upon that, then you can make a little bit more specific, educated decision on what route you want to go. Because
right, yeah.
there's some general supplements for liver detoxification that are very. I mean, I'm using one right now, and it's very affordable and cheap, and it's from a reputable company. It's not a. It was. I
Okay.
got it. I got it through. Obviously, they recommended it when I went through the process of my optimization, and
Yeah, so that might be a good idea to look through, because that's my worry, is that my body's not even processing supplements, because I'll take different things and not notice a difference at all.
yeah, and they may not be doing anything.
Okay.
I've taken, like I said in the beginning, I'll be pretty transparent. I wasted thousands of dollars on supplementations just because I didn't know what I didn't know. I mean, you know, um, and as you educate yourself and get more data points, then you can make a better decision. So I would try to get, I mean, if you can get those tests done, um, to identify how things are functioning and then go from there, that will be key. Because we have some things built out where we can take your data points, throw it in there because many times some of the software does not go for optimization. It goes for general. It runs up against, hey, what's the general population? Doesn't mean it's optimal, which is not a good thing. And that's what happened to men's testosterone levels. Men's testosterone levels have dropped in the last 10 to 20 years. And now they're running these numbers up against what the average is. And it's not even close to being right for guys. So if we could put it in a system that says, hey, what's optimal for you and your system, it'll give you a little bit different indicators of what's going on. Or like, hey, you need to do XYZ to make it more optimal.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
uh-huh. Yeah, so I mean, if you can get those tests or if it's on the, because some of those you can get and insurance will cover with the livers because some of them are in a general format. Awesome. Any other questions? I know, I mean, it's supplements are, that's a hard topic.
But
And there's,
quick question.
yep.
Sorry, I'm on the
No, you're
train.
good.
If my insurance is not the best, and I'm assuming others have the same issue, is there a place in general, that you guys recommend for doing labs if you're in a situation like that?
Yeah, so we have a couple different options. I mean, we we have the ability to order labs through FullScript, which is it's a practitioner-based app. Um, we can just give you the breakdown. We don't it is what it is. It's not like a markup component. We don't do that. Um, so what we can do is just give you guys a breakdown of what XYZ would cost you out of pocket. We have the ability to do that and send it over to you, and you can look at the price breakdown.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank
Ye-
you.
Yeah, because it will
Yeah.
send you to one of the main LabCorp or LabQuest, one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will share this document. It's it's like the optimization. Here's the labs you want to look at as a female. Here's another version of it that's a little bit more expensive. It just goes a little bit deeper in optimization. I will share. I've been working on that. And it's based upon all the stuff we went through, Aaron and I. So we've taken all the things we've learned from our experience with working with this doctors last year, and we took it and obviously we regurgitated it, and we're going to share it as an educational tool for you guys. So I will share that over, and it's just a document that breaks down all the tests you should ask and why.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Mhm. And then we can work on getting price points on the breakdown of the different tests outside of insurance. I know it's crazy because I've been self-employed for 20 years, and I used to have good insurance, but it went away. And I would go in. So a couple years ago, I went in and wanted to do all my tests, and my doctor said, "You're not old enough." And I said, "I don't care," because I wanted to do some other tests that you're supposed to be a certain age for specific for men, because I obviously having two young kids. And I said, "I don't care." And he goes, "Well, your insurance is not going to cover it." And I go, "It wouldn't cover it anyway. I'm going to pay out of pocket." So I just told him, "Here's what I wanted. Here's what I wanted to get tested." And I didn't care. So I just had to be a little bit more forceful and tell them what I wanted to do. Um, some of them will do it, some of them won't. Some of them will really fight you on it, but it is what it is. So, hey, well, I appreciate you guys participating. I ran over a little bit and I was running behind. I will share some of those blood work documents over in the main channel, and it'll be at a PDF format, so you guys can grab a hold of it, read through it, and then we'll work on our side the price breakdown of certain levels of what that looks like outside of insurance. Because sometimes insurance will, if you push hard enough, they will pick up some of them. I don't think they'll pick up all of them. So, well, awesome. You guys have a great day, and I'll kick that stuff over for you guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Uh,